Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mark. We approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, same. Motion carries. To the consent agenda. You have a copy of the minutes of December 19th, 2022, and the strategic planning meeting of December 22 of 2022. We need appointment of Mike Callahan, our city council member at large, as mayor pro tem for 2023. We have designation of the Clear Lake Mirror Reporter as the official newspaper of the city of Clear Lake for legal publications, and the Mason City Globe Gazette as the alternate. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. We have the following licenses and permits: liquor license, Class C, retail alcohol license, the Legacy Grill; Class C, retail alcohol license, the Surf Ballroom; Class E, retail alcohol license, Casey's, number 1896 and number 1427. Those are renewals. We have a tree trimmer's license with the Clapper Tree Service, and that's a renewal. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Gary, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Now is the time and place for any citizen in the audience who wishes to speak on any item that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter it in the minutes. This is not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, and you shall have 3 to 5 minutes. None appearing. We'll move on to unfinished business, and we have none appearing there. We'll move to 6, new business. 6A, Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Plan Amendment and Destination Iowa Projects. Review of proposal and recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Scott Flory, our city administrator. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Walk through these items here in the packet with you. Sure. I'll just talk real loud just to get that.
That'll work.
So back, maybe just take a quick look at some of the items here in the packet addressing this item. So the first blue sheet in the packet is the letter of recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission from their meeting that was held on December 20th regarding recommendation for the Consolidated Urban Renewal Plan. The next sheets that follow that, the gold sheets, are resolution declaring necessity and establishing the urban renewal area pursuant to section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa. And approving the urban renewal plan amendment for the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. Then the purple sheets that follow that are a copy of the actual urban renewal plan amendment for the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. That's dated January of 2023. And then the gray sheet after that is a notice of the public hearing that was published in the newspaper indicating that tonight would be the time and the place for the public hearing on the proposal to amend the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area by adding those new additional initiatives that are identified in the Surf District Visioning Plan, as well as additional territory that was the area that was extending out into the lake. And last but not least, the orange sheet is resolution to set the date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a general obligation urban renewal loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder. And that would be to establish February 6th, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers as the date for that public hearing. Won't be taking any action on any loan agreement, obviously, at that time, or be sometime thereafter, but statutorily there are certain along the way through this whole process, there's many, many steps along the way, and that's one. And it's certainly an important one, but we'll have the public hearing, hold the public hearing, and then that is one important step in this process that would be completed. And as we get closer to having projects bid and awarding construction contracts and that, then we'll work on the issuance of bonds and the loan agreement. But again, that just simply establishes the date for the public hearing. We'll hold the public hearing and then get that element over with. So just in the way of some review, back on November 22nd, if you recall, we were notified by the Department of Economic Development that we were going to be a recipient of Destination Iowa funding under the Creative Placemaking Grant Program. And that grant amount that we're receiving is $4,370,000, and that represents roughly 40% of funding for the eligible projects that are identified in the SURF district application. Funding from the state is, of course, in this situation on a reimbursement basis, so we'll have to actually complete all of the construction projects and then go through all of the paperwork and auditing and then be reimbursed by the state at the end of the project. Just further, if you recall, this is funding that was made available to the state through the American Rescue Plan Act, so ARPA, the acronym. And this particular funding is through the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. If you recall, a few meetings ago, we had adopted a procurement policy that identifies all the criteria that we have to comply with related to a number of federal acts that are all kind of derivative of this source of funding. So. One key thing here I want to point out is that the city must have funds for the project obligated not later than December 31st of 2024, and we're required to have the funds expended by December 31st of 2026. And there's some legal jargon on what obligated means and what expended means, but generally speaking, that's what we're looking at, is obligated not later than December 31st, 2024, and expended December 31st, 2026. So at your regular council meeting on December 5th, the council had initiated the process to amend the Consolidated Urban Renewal Plan by adding those additional initiatives and projects that are identified in the SURF District Visioning Plan and the Destination Iowa Placemaking Grant Application. So we went through that here a few meetings ago, and then again, that's that sheet that I identified here in the packet. The purple sheet is the actual plan amendment that we're talking about holding the public hearing on this evening. So the council then also had set the date for the planning and zoning to review this matter and then come back and make a recommendation to the council on the plan amendment. We also published notice in the newspaper as required by law on this on December 22nd, again indicating that tonight would be the time and the place for a public hearing on the proposal to amend the Consolidated Urban Renewal Area and Plan. We did also have to hold a statutorily required consultation meeting with the other taxing entities of Saragordo County. The code requires that we provide them in advance with a copy of the proposed amendment that we're discussing and contemplating for the plan. So we did that in advance, held that consultation meeting, and responded to questions from them. Then again on December 20th, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the proposed amendment incorporating the projects that were identified in the SURF District Visioning Plan and Destination Iowa Grant Application Project. And as you can see from the letter, they're forwarding on their recommendation that the plan amendment be adopted and approved by the City Council. And then, as I mentioned, the other item would be to establish February 6th as the date for the public hearing on a proposal entered into a future loan agreement necessary for purposes of funding the SURF district projects. So I don't have anything further in terms of any comments prior to your public hearing. I know there's a few people that want to speak on that for the public hearing, but I just want to mention again, this was a pretty difficult application to put together. The state had these 4 different divisions for the Destination Iowa program. I think they had economic development, outdoor recreation, creative placemaking, and tourist attraction. I think were the 4 buckets, if you will, that they had this $100 million in ARPA funding that was appropriated to, and 20 million of that was in this creative placemaking application. And to date, I believe it's still just Clear Lake and Davenport are the only 2 communities that, and applicants that have received any funding from that component of the Destination Iowa. You know, I think that speaks to the difficulty in creating a project that met the requirements that the state was looking for in terms of that placemaking application. So I thought we had, I think I told you previously on the Bob Fisher radio program, he had Debbie Durham, the director of the department, as his guest there around Thanksgiving time. And she made some glowing remarks about the Clear Lake application. And her precise words were, that we had an outstanding project and an outstanding application. And I think that says a lot when someone of her stature in terms of economic development and position in the state makes a statement like that. Very, very, very flattering and rewarding. And as I said, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, sometimes these things happen, and if you read her statements and Bob's show, he had kind of written them up in an article, and she was here one day, and she was not here for that. And we were able, I was able to reach out to someone, and that person was able to make a call and influence her schedule. And we were able to meet with her down at the Surf Ballroom and talk about this concept that we have. The mayor was there, and you know, a few other people, and so Bennett, I think you were there as well. And so we were not on her schedule, and we were able to get on her schedule, and I think the rest is history. And so it's kind of, again, one of those pivotal moments that happens, and you know, we were able to stay in contact with her throughout the development of that grant application. When we would go down, there was a small contingent of us that would go down to the Department of Economic Development, many of whom are here today, tonight, and meet, and Ms. Durham would make it a practice when we were there to stop in and say hi and speak to us and talk about our project. And so that just was very nice. So I guess I don't have anything further in terms of any background. I guess, you know, we're just really excited about the opportunity to move forward on these projects. As I mentioned, there's many, many steps along the way. This is certainly an important one. I don't know that it's the most important. There's going to be many important steps along the way here, but all of them are very necessary and have to happen. And this is certainly one of the early on steps, amending the urban renewal plan to incorporate these projects. So I think it's an exciting opportunity for us to begin this process. It's not going to be quick, but we're ready to go. I think I've said this on other projects that we've done in the past, and you know, we've got, you know, I've made this on the McKesson project repeatedly, kind of a statement about crossing the Rubicon. We're not there, but we can see it, and we're coming up on it. And so we're not there yet. We've got a long way to go, but we're making good progress, and all progress in the right direction to do the things that we need to do to make this project a reality. So.
Council, any questions or comments for Scott before I open the public meeting? Thank you, Scott. A few procedural remarks here with regard to the public hearing. Those of you in the audience who wish to speak to this particular project, I'm going to call upon you first, and then those of you who are with us telephonically, I will call on you then to, if there are any of you that wish to speak to this project after those in the audience have spoken. Then council, when we close the public hearing, thereafter I would like, if there is any discussion among those of us here at the dais, for that to be the time when we shall speak, and then then we'll move to motion on action on Resolution 2301 thereafter. Okay, now is the time and place for the public hearing with regard to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Plan Amendment and Destination Iowa project. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to that particular project, please approach the podium, state your name first and last so that the clerk can properly enter into the minutes. Welcome, Chad.
Mayor, Council, Chad Schreck, North Iowa Corridor, 9 North Federal Avenue in Mason City. And just want to thank you guys for pushing this forward. Commend Scott and the team and the city council and mayor for how quickly you've moved this forward. Just again, won't recap everything. Scott did a great job of that, but just how far we've come in a short amount of time and to already be moving this step forward. I can't imagine that anybody else is on this kind of quick a timeline. So it's just, again, just great work. It's a phenomenal project. I mean, we're talking about a district, an area, a building that have been centerpieces of our economic and community development for 100 years. And this will make it really, I think, viable for the next 100. And that's so important. And a lot of things we talked about in Vision North Iowa and our strategic planning and all those other things is how do we keep those historical pieces of our community vibrant and vital, but make them relevant to the next generation. And I think this project does that. And we've already had the opportunity to meet with developers that this brought interest into developing that area, and we're seeing things move on that front. So it's already paying dividends for the next step. So just really, again, commend the city, commend the folks involved in this, the team with the SURF and Snyder's and everybody that's played a key role in this. It's been really phenomenal to see. And just excited to walk through these next steps and see where this takes us. So thanks again for all your work and look forward to the next thing.
Thanks, Chad. Anyone else from the audience wish to speak with regard to this project? None appearing. Anyone telephonically wish to speak that are not council members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to speak.
Welcome, Jeff. We hear you well.
Yeah, hi, Jeff Nicholas here, and I apologize. I wish I could be with you all there tonight. And I just want to throw my 2 cents worth in. Been a lifelong resident of Clear Lake, and it's obviously a community that I and my family love dearly. And we are so excited in my capacity at the Surf Ballroom to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the city to move this project forward. Scott has done an absolutely unbelievable job, the mayor, the city council, and this is very, very exciting. And we hope to make a statement not only around Iowa but all throughout the Midwest on who we are and what we are in Clear Lake. And this is going to be so exciting. We're going to return some of our historical roots back into the community, but we're going to do it in a forward-thinking way. And we've got so many great ideas at the Surf on other things we can do. And it all stems from that old building there that sits in the middle, the Surf Ballroom. And we're so thankful for everybody that supported that building. The Snyder's family came to its rescue, and we couldn't be more excited or more proud or more willing and able to stand with the city and move this project forward.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm sorry you're living in such warm climate, but we'll talk about that when you get home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else
Stacy
on?
Dawn?
Yep. Welcome, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy Dawn on behalf of the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce and Clear Lake Tourism. I look forward to the council's approval tonight of the resolution to expand the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area in support of the Surf District Revitalization Project. Navigating the Destination Iowa process and being named a grant recipient is a monumental win for our Clear Lake and the region. The commitment by so many to move a dream to reality in such a short amount of time is exactly why Clear Lake continues to thrive when so many other communities of our size struggle. The Surf District Revitalization Project will continue to grow Clear Lake as a great place to visit and live, and the economic impact cannot be understated. So thank you for supporting a project that will have a positive ripple effect throughout Iowa. Very excited to see it move forward.
Thank you, Stacy, and go safe in your travels. Anyone else, either in the audience or on telephone, wish to speak to this project? Not appearing, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we close the public hearing with regard to the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area Plan Amendment and Destination Iowa project. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. And now, council, is our opportunity to make any comments that we may have with regard to this project. Floor is open, council.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to comment briefly. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I think it's pretty clear that this project is a transformative one for Clear Lake with the Surf District, and it's going to be an amazing ride. I think it will catalyze significant private investment in the neighborhood, and I think we'll look forward to many years of that transformation to come. So, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Anyone telephonically? Hearing just a few comments that I'll make, and that is that I think there are many side effects to this wonderful project just beginning to open. And I think I've said this for quite some time, that will be wonderful for that particular area of our city, and to see over the next years to come how that will, my words, blossom in many, many different ways, very, very positively. I also want to make a couple of comments with regard to the process that we all, Scott alluded to all those, Bennett alluded to some of those just now, but the process that we had to partnership with so many different entities here. Certainly the private aspect of it all with the Snyder family, the nonprofit group, the people in that area down there of which this project will become a part of, the members of the Iowa Economic Development Authority and their willingness to work with us, to speak with us, to answer our questions many times, for me, was very, very positive, and to see how small-town America can work with their state government on a project such as this, and then to be rewarded as we were, and as Scott just said, to our knowledge, Davenport at this point in time is the only other one, you know, to the tune of $4.37 million on a project as big as this. And what it's going to do and how it's going to serve the needs that the Iowa Economic Development had put in place for us to write this grant, which is called a place-making grant, where people will not only come here as tourists or visitors, but also may choose, after visiting here, make this a place of residence someday. Speaks volumes of what we have gone through to date, and as we look down the road, I believe it's going to be even more and more positive for this community, for North Iowa, and for the state of Iowa. We as a group, total group now, are doing something that's huge. And I, for one, and as the council just said, we look forward to all that. So thanks to all who have been a part of this at this point. And now we need to take action on Resolution 2301. I'll entertain a motion to approve a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa, and approve Urban Renewal Plan Amendment for the Clear Lake Consolidated Urban Renewal Area. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2301. Is there any further discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and Resolution 2301 is duly adopted. And now we need to take action on Resolution 2302, a resolution setting a date for a public hearing, which shall be February 6th of 2023, on a proposal to enter into a general obligation urban renewal loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2302. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And Mark?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 2302 is duly adopted. Thank you to everybody. I truly appreciate, we truly appreciate everything that's gone on to this point with regard to this project, and tonight was another big step. Thank you all. Okay, we'll move on to 6B, 2023 Street Resurfacing Project. Interim Mr. Flory, welcome again, Scott.
Thanks, Mayor. Council will just go through that. Just want to say thanks, Mayor, for those great words on that last agenda item. Those were really wonderful remarks, so thank you much. The yellow sheet in your packet is the first item on this one. It's a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on plan specifications, form of contract, estimated cost, ordering bids, setting a date for bid letting, and directing posting of the bid letting notice, all for the 2023 street resurfacing and alley paving project, Division 1 and 2. The pink sheet that follows that is a copy of the notice of public hearing, again establishing February 6th as the date, 6 p.m. for date, time, place for the public hearing on the hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the project. The green sheets following that are a copy of the notice to bidders. It'll be posted in the plan rooms. After that is the 2022 street resurfacing project estimate of the opinion of probable cost. It was prepared by the project consultant, Feenster and Kim, Jason Petersburg on that. Then we've got a timeline that follows that, and then just kind of a overview of the location of where all the street segments that are proposed to be overlaid for this project are located. So if you recall, fiscal year 23, which of course we're in here currently, we had budgeted for a comprehensive street resurfacing project, and this follows numerous improvements that we had made, underground improvements, storm sewer water main improvements that we did under the auspices of the 2021 storm sewer and water main improvement project. And that also happened to be a project that we received some ARPA funding for as well. It was about a $700,000 underground improvement project that we did. Primarily, a lot of it was done there along the Wellness Center side, the south side of the Wellness Center, that street there as well. The proposed project also involves street segments that have not been resurfaced in many years. So generally, it's about 1.5 miles worth of street resurfacing, hot mix asphalt resurfacing. Geographically, of course, the area, if you refer to your map there, you'll see it's bounded by Main Avenue on the south, 7th Avenue North on the north side, North 10th Street on the west, and North 20th Street on the east. And additionally, we have that east-west alley that's located between Buddy Holly Place and North 3rd Street there by the Lake Auto Hospital that will be including in this project as well. And that's being bid both as an HMA and PCC paving alternate. Project includes replacement of deficient curb and gutter sections, milling, 2-inch HMA resurfacing, and of course ADA compliant sidewalk ramps and sidewalk improvements as well. And as I mentioned previously, I think what the case was in the 2018 street resurfacing project, we included replacement of defective sidewalk along these street segments, and so we would propose to do that same model again. So when we're resurfacing the street, we've already developed an inventory and identified locations for defective sidewalks, so we'd like to include replacement of those, spot replacement of those defective panels in this project as well. As a reminder, the city, of course, bid this project, Division 1 of this project. Previously, we did, if you recall, only received one bid, which was roughly about 60% over what the engineer's estimate of the probable cost of construction was. So obviously, we rejected that bid and then made the decision to rebid this project in the winter of 2023, which we're in the process of doing here tonight. Total estimated cost for Division 1 is $387,182. The estimated cost for Division 2 is $578,000, and the estimated cost for the alley improvements, be they HMA or PCC, roughly about $65,000 for that. So schedule calls for work on Division 1 to begin this April and then be completed about mid-June. And then the schedule for Division 2 would require work to begin sometime in mid-July and be complete prior to school starting, so around that mid to late August timeframe. So again, you'll be establishing February 6th as the date for the public hearing on the plan specifications. Bid letting date be January 31st, 11 o'clock here at City Hall. As I mentioned, there are two divisions of work here. So Division 1 includes the PCC street patching, defective sidewalk, ADA compliant ramps, spot curb and gutter replacement, and then of course the bidding the alternate on the alley by the Lake Auto Hospital there on Buddy Holly Place as well. So Division 2 includes the street resurfacing and HMA improvements. So I don't have anything further. Jason's going to review the preliminary draft of the plans and specifications unless anyone has any questions for me. I just point out that, you know, the estimated cost of this is just around a little over $1 million. So, you know, we're doing a lot of work all over the place. And, you know, here's another example. I think people kind of lose sight of the fact that we are making a lot of improvements to infrastructure. You know, the East Main project, that again is over a $3 million capital investment in East Main, and we're about to make another $1 million worth of improvements to the streets again with this project, and that, like I say, follows a number of underground projects. Can't do everybody's street at one time, but you know, $700,000 previously on that, $1 million here. So in total, this overall project, you're probably looking at a couple $1 million wrapped up here. So lot of investment in infrastructure.
Council, any questions, comments? Scott? Thank you. Review of preliminary plans and specs. Jason Petersburg, V&K. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Scott pretty well covered the area of the project as well as the scope of the improvements and the alternate bids that we're taking for the alley project. So talk changes from the initial bid letting held last summer. We put two divisions into one set of plans and specs, so we'll be taking bids for Division 1, which is the concrete work, and then the alternate for the concrete alley, and then Division 2, which is the asphalt resurfacing, the milling work, and then the alternate for the asphalt alley there. Like Scott said, last summer we only bid Division 1. The PCC work, as we were made aware that the asphalt contractors were already booked for the year. We did review the estimate, and we've updated the unit cost to be a little more consistent with what we've been seeing on some other projects. The current cost estimate for Division 1 now is $387,000, and that's about 18 or 20% more than what the estimate was that we had on it last year. We tried to adjust unit prices for items we know that have had substantial material cost increase, but there's likely some other items that have seen some pretty substantial labor cost increases as well. Division 2 estimate is $578,000. We also looked at those unit costs, but we didn't change those quite as much as we did with the concrete unit prices. Cost estimate for the alley paving is $65,000, which is about $6,000 more than last year's estimate. So we're trying to adjust everything to keep up with the costs that we've been seeing, yet not overinflate the estimate going into the bid phase here. Tonight's request is city council approval of the resolution setting the February 6th as the date of the public hearing on the plans and specs, and January 31st at 11 a.m. As the date and time of the bid letting for both Division 1 and Division 2. And then following that, on February 6th, the council will then consider contract award as well as select an alternate for the alley, be it concrete paving, asphalt paving, or reject them both. Any questions?
Council, any questions for Jason?
I was just going to mention, Jason, you've had some preliminary discussions with, at least with respect to Division 1, as far as interest among general contractors in bidding. Division 1 looks like to be some pretty good interest.
I've had discussion with several of them. A couple local ones are already committed for the first month and a half of the spring. So they want to look at the project to make sure that they can get it done in time. I talked to Wicks today, and they'll be in town working on Maine, so they would like to take a look at this project as well. And there's a couple others over in Mason City that have expressed interest. So hopefully get more than one bid this go around.
Any other comments? Thank you, Jason.
Mayor, you might be even going to say this, but anybody that's driven around on some of these streets that are proposed there, especially their First Avenue North, the Wellness Center in particular, they're in desperate need of some resurfacing here. So we're hopeful that we'll get favorable bid interest on this and be able to proceed with this project, because it's definitely a need.
Yeah. They're beyond rough. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2303, a resolution setting the date for a public hearing which shall be February 6th at 6 p.m. and the bid letting, which will be January 31st at 11 a.m. both here in the council chambers on the 2023 street resurfacing project. Motion, please.
So offered.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Gary, that we approve Resolution 2303. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Where am I at? Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes. Mark?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Resolution 2303 is duly adopted. Now to the Chief of Police report. You want me to jump in here? Okay. This will be the swearing-in ceremony for patrol officers, Paige Conklin and Blaine Pavelka, and administration of oath by the mayor. If I could have both those officers, please come up and approach the podium, and I'll come down, and we will go through the oath. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Iowa. And the ordinances of the City of Clear Lake. And will faithfully discharge the duties. Of police officer for the City of Clear Lake. To the best of my ability. And that I will serve. The citizens of the United States. The state of Iowa. And the City of Clear Lake. Honestly and faithfully. And will obey the orders. Of the officers and officials. Placed over me according to law. Congratulations. think we're very, very lucky to have these two. There are a number of departments that, shall we say, are struggling to get people to fill their departments. We have these two fine young people here, and let's give them another hand. Anything else, Chief?
Thank you, Mayor Dunn. Happy New Year for the department.
Okay, Public Works report.
Not really anything to report. We obviously had a lot of snow, but working through it.
And everybody is wide awake?
Hopefully we'll get some sleep this week. Past two holidays, haven't been much for holidays for you guys, but we got through it.
Well, nice job, really. You've done a very good job, and there's been a lot of messy streets to take care of and lots of snow piles to haul away, and
Yeah. I think all last week was pretty much cleanup from the storm from the week before, so
Yeah.
it took a good full 4 days just to
Yeah.
get things back to normal. And then obviously the weather today was
yeah.
not very beneficial either, so
Yeah.
a lot more cleanup.
Yeah, I was scared there for a while, and a couple others of us were too, that when they got slushy, that we weren't going to get that off before it froze up.
Yeah, motor grader was out Tuesday through Friday last week, scraping roads. I think they got done Friday midday finally through everything, so. And then obviously with the drifting, the outlet area was pretty big, pretty bad. There was 8-foot drifts through that area, so we had to haul out a lot of snow down there in that neighborhood, just to give us space for the next snow. So that we had a handful of guys down there working 2-3 days just to make space. So.
It's been a number of years since I've seen South Shore Drive like that. It's just,
Yeah,
One-
it was something else. I mean, we couldn't get through it with any of our snow plows, so it was straight, our end loaders had to go down there with buckets and shovel through a lot of it that Thursday or Friday night, whatever it was. So,
Mhm.
yep.
yeah. Well done. Pass it on, yeah.
Thank you.
Director of Finance Administrative Services.
Nothing from me.
Under mayor report, Chad, do you have anything?
Be fast, since somebody else is talking. But no, Happy New Year, everybody. It's been 2022. I actually, despite everything going on in the world, I feel like went incredibly well for North Iowa. And a lot of that's due to the work you guys have done. And just every meeting, I try to come to all these, and it's amazing how much happens every 2 weeks in these meetings. And you add that up over the course of a year, it's pretty dang incredible. And we forget, we lose sight of it, how much we've seen and accomplished. So just kudos to this community. It's truly amazing. And one of the ways we're going to try to reflect on some of that coming up here at the State of North Iowa event, January 19th, 8 o'clock over at the former Yonkers at Mason City. And there's going to be a conversation on what we talked about tonight with the Destination Iowa projects, obviously the Surf District, also Mason City's Bike Trails program, and on the whole Mason City Downtown project, hoping to hear from the developers of the mall and hotel. So trying to get updates on all those things. But again, good opportunity to reflect on the past year and what's coming up this year ahead. So excited to bring everyone together to do that. Hope that you can make that work. Also, our colleague Robin Anderson, Chamber of Mason City Chamber President for, I can't even tell you how many years.
Maybe about
20+ years.
24, yeah.
Almost 24 years is retiring. Her going away party is Thursday from noon to 4 over at the Chamber of Commerce office, 3rd floor. Actually, Debbie Durham's going to make her way up for that as well. So if you have an opportunity to give Robin one more hug and wish her well, she's going to be heading down to the Gulf Shores next week. So we'll miss her, but looking forward to working with Colleen Frine as she takes over at the Chamber here in the next couple of weeks. Also, we got the legislative season coming on us. That starts up next week already, for better and for worse. But we'll be monitoring that. A lot of things on the docket. I've mentioned it before, but they keep talking about property taxes, so that obviously impacts the city and the county. And we'll see what they come up with for that, but we're watching it close. I know City Manager Association and the
League of Cities.
League of Cities, man. Everyone's watching that, so we'll see where that all goes, but we'll be trying to take care of that. We got a lot of things coming up with the Association of Business and Industry, Iowa Chamber Alliance, Professional Developers of Iowa, potential opportunities to get down there for Days on the Hill and things like that. We also have our Iowa Chamber Alliance Workforce Survey. That was a statewide survey that will be unveiling the results here in, I think, 2 weeks to our legislators, really trying to drive the message on what our workforce is wanting to see, what gets them to come to Iowa, stay in Iowa, the kind of things that they're concerned about. We really need our legislature to look at things through a workforce lens, through a population lens in Iowa. That continues to be our #1 hindrance to future growth. So going to keep on beating that drum, and just overall, a lot of good project activity continues, a lot of good housing stuff, but I won't belabor all of that right now. Just Happy New Year. Looking forward to a great year ahead.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Stacy, are you on?
I am.
Oh,
Mayor Crab.
welcome.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. I want to take the opportunity to invite you to our 80th annual meeting and award celebration on Friday, January 27th, beginning at 4:30 at the Surf Ballroom. The awards committee met today and selected our 22 award recipients, and there's some very deserving recipients out there, so I hope you'll join us and help us celebrate not only the recipients, but our 80th year in serving the community, and another great year for Clear Lake. So thanks so much.
Thank you. I'd, before I turn this over to Scott here, the next one, and Scott and I were remarking about this when we saw it last week, but our Mirror reporter, if you look at I think it was, they have the 10 best events,
Most significant news stories, something like that.
you know, in Clear Lake, and of those 10, 9, you know, were really kind of, we were a part of. I don't know, you know, if we were the top, but we were a part of each and every one of those. And that goes to our community. They were a part of it all. Our citizens were a part of it all. You know, thanks very, very much for Mirror Reporter's support on all of those items. It's neat to see a community really be all together. I guess that's the word. And we feel very, very good about it. I also want to thank members of the nonprofit who are here tonight. We really, really do appreciate your support within this community and what you do for this community. We have a fantastic landmark, and it truly is that at this point in time. And thanks, people in support of our new officers, which we're very, very proud to have tonight. Thank you. Scott?
Just going to mention, piggyback there a little bit on what the mayor said. If you didn't get a chance to hear his comments at, I think it was the Chamber quarterly events, he recited the 2022 year in review, and I thought he did a beautiful job, and it was really, as Chad suggested, just a really good year for the city government. A busy year, a lot of nice accomplishments, and so congratulations to you, Mayor Crabb, and the council on everything that you were involved in. It was a terrific year. I want to also mention we had a retirement party here last week for outgoing officer Jerry Shade. He had been here for almost 20 years, so I knew him from very early on here, and he had a nice career here. And I want to thank our terrific chamber for bringing in the pizza for it. It was very thoughtful of them to do that, and we had a nice gathering here. It was a nice fellowship, and we were able to send Jerry off on a real good, positive note, and the mayor made some really nice remarks, and we had some good contributions from Mike Keefe and the fire department showed up for that. So just a really nice event, and thanks again to the chamber for their help with that. So the only thing I was going to mention other than that was for the next council meeting, I'll have an item on there on the we had a recommendation from the Parks Advisory Board to increase the dock fees. We have not done that for residential and commercial for 8 and 9 years respectively on that. So the proposal from the Parks Advisory Board was to increase residential from $200 to $250 and commercial from $350 to $500. So we only have 2 commercial permits. They're at 16th Avenue South, so Brandt and Clear Lake Boats would be the 2 impacted by that. And then we have about 147 dock slips that would be affected by the $50 permit increase. So we want to do that now. Hope sends out the letters to the dock folks in January, so we'll get that out, but we'll have that on the item for the next year. Just also mention that when we look at these things, we kind of take a look at the consumer price index, and from 2014, 2013 to where we're at now is about a 28% increase. So when you do the math on those things, it puts you right at where we're at on those fee increases. So didn't just pull them out of the thin blue sky or anything. Those are legitimately tied back to the consumer price index for urban consumers. So we'll have that on for the next meeting. So and I don't have anything else unless anyone has questions.
Questions for Scott, Council? Thank you, Scott. Any other business, Council? I want to thank Mike, thank Dana and Stacy for being with us telephonically tonight. Appreciate that. No other business. Meeting adjourned.